Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Good morning, children. This is Rakshanda Hafiz from Sanskar School, Jaipur, and I had been explaining you chapter number 6 from Vistas on the Face of It by Suzanne Hill. In our previous 3 tracks, I have explained you the interaction between Derry and Mr. Lamb, Derry a teenager boy and Mr. Lamb a middle-aged man. Derry is a boy with a burnt face and Mr. Lamb is a man with a tin leg, and how they both come into an interaction when Derry sneaks into Mr. Lamb's garden quietly, not knowing that Mr. Lamb is observing and is very much present in the garden. And that is where Derry starts explaining or talking to him about his apprehension of being in company of people, because he feels that people look down upon him and they do not like him because of his burnt face, and even his family who accepts him only accepts him because he is a part of the family. And he tells Mr. Lamb that
Created
it is very
with free
easy
version
for
for
him
non-commercial
to
use.
talk about having a positive approach towards life and accepting people and enjoying nature and enjoying things around, because he does not have any issues with his physical appearance, for which Mr. Lamb talks about his own tin leg and tells him that it had gone blown off in a blast, and from then on he is mainly called Lamey Lamb, and people make fun of him, but it does not bother him because he enjoys being with people and he enjoys being friendly with people, and that is what makes him happy. Their comments does not make him unhappy, it does not make him unhappy, because that is not something which he is bothered about. He enjoys the creation of God, he looks at things in a different manner, he looks at things with a positive approach, and that is what keeps him happy and keeps him going. For which Derry says that I just don't understand, how can you say something like this, because it is not the way people actually look upon. So he says that the world is quite vast and quite big,
Created with free
Derry, and
version
you
for
will see that
non-commercial
people
use.
have different approaches, and you will find that whatever you are right now presently thinking or you are caught in, the kind of thought process is completely not valid for everybody, is applicable for each one. People are different, people are good, people are bad. It depends how you look at people and how you accept them in your lives and how you move ahead. So he talks about everything that is very practically to be used in life, which brings a change into Derry's approach, and he starts opening up to Mr. Lamb, telling him how he also enjoys the pitter patter of rains, how he enjoys to be in a garden like this, and how he enjoys to be in company of people, but then he's scared that people will not like him, people will not welcome him because they whisper at his back and they make fun of him. This is what he thinks about people. So this is what up till now we have understood. And here Mr. Lamb, when he's walking, he tells him he's
Created
going to
with free
pluck his
version for
crab
non-commercial
apples to
use.
make his jams and jellies, and he tells him you are always welcome in my garden, and that people will like you and people will dislike you. It is up to you how you take them in your life, and what is more important that you take in your life. Do you take the negative comments of people for yourself to live your life, or do you want to be a completely positive man and you live your life happily? There he understands certain things, and then he tells that I am right now going and informing my mother that I am here and I would like to visit you. For which Mr. Lamb says, I doubt you are going to return back. Derry gets upset and agitated, and he says that I am going to come back no matter what, and I am going to show you that I am not scared of people, and that I am coming out of my own cocoon or of my own world which I have created around myself, keeping myself completely caged and shut off and not living my life happily. For which Mr.
Created
Lamb
with free
again
version
tells
for
him that
non-commercial
let's see
use.
whether you are capable of doing it or not. So Derry tells him in a very aggressive manner that I'm going to show you, Mr. Lamb, that I'm returning back and I'm breaking off all these walls around me which I had created, and I'm going to breathe in free and I'm going to live my life happily the way I want, and I will not be bothered about how people look at me. And Derry runs to his home and he informs his mother that he has visited this garden of Mr. Lamb, for which his mother is not very happy, and she tells him that this man does not have a very good impression and people do not like him, and she does not approve of him going to this garden and visiting this man again. for which Derry resents, and he says that I am going to go back, because if I will not go back today, I will never be able to come out of my shell, and I will never be able to live my life the way I want to live, because I really need to show this man that I have broken all the walls and all the
Created with free
negative
version for non-commercial
approaches, and
use.
I am letting myself free and breathing myself free and enjoying well. So he runs around and returns back to the garden of Mr. Lamb, where he sees Mr. Lamb fallen down from the ladder and on the ground. When he runs and he sees Mr. Lamb falling on the ground, he keeps on calling Mr. Lamb, but Mr. Lamb is already dead. Sobbing, Derry remembers how Mr. Lamb has given him new hope to live his life, and the chapter ends with this. This tells you about people's approach towards life and how somebody can make a difference in your life if you decide to listen to the goodness of people, and if you decide to appreciate the goodness of people. Derry also decides to listen to Mr. Lamb and breaks all the walls which he has built around him, and tries to restart his life with complete positivity, and he makes a difference.
Created with free
And he
version for
tries to
non-commercial
live up to
use.
the expectation of Mr. Lamb, and tries to show the world that yes, if you have a positive approach towards yourself, your physical disabilities are absolutely nothing. They are not at all a challenge. What is a challenge is your mental disability of accepting your own individual self the way you are, and deciding yourself to live your life according to the perception or to the expectation of others, which is not a correct approach. So Mr. Lamb has brought Derry out of this negative approach and has shown him the way to lead his life in a much better way than which he is presently living. With this, your chapter ends, and this also tells you that how one can bring in a difference in their own life as well as in the life of other. Though the story does not have a very happy ending, but then
Created
it
with free
definitely
version for
leaves with a
non-commercial
very
use.
hopeful note that people are good around, and we must look for goodness and positivity, because that's the most important factor for living and leading a good life, which Derry decides to adopt and adapt to. And then he makes a difference in his life, and he also makes Mr. Lamb, a mentor of his or a counselor of his, proud of himself.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.